Dune 2 is by far one of the most anticipated films of the year. You can easily say that Denis Villeneuve is becoming one of the best film directors of our time. There is something very special about this film, and I'm not just talking about the sandworms. I'm talking about the camera that this film was shot on. Today we're going to break down some new technology and some very old technology that this film used, among many other things that make Dune a very, very special new leap into the future of filmmaking. IMAX CEO claimed that Dune 2 was shot on IMAX cinema cameras, but in the last few months, it's come to light that this wasn't true at all. In fact, Dune 2 was shot on the ARRI Alexa 65. This camera has an ARRI A3 X CMOS sensor. It has the ability to shoot 6.5K resolution at 14 stops of dynamic range, and it shoots up to 60 frames per second. Now, on the thumbnail of this video, it said 18K resolution, but the camera shoots in 6K resolution. So where did 18K come from? Now, what's special about what Dune has done is that they've taken the digital film and they did an analog conversion into 70mm. And just so you guys can see the difference between 70mm and 35mm that most films are shot on, 70mm is almost 3 times the size, which is the equivalent to 18K resolution. Now, this digital to analog conversion is an extremely lengthy process and something that Denis and DP Greg Fraser were committed to. And the reason why they did this is to create that real film emulation and take away that digital sharpness that you get from modern cameras. I saw in an interview that Greg was talking about, they had a chance to shoot this on a real film camera, and the way they described it was a little bit too nostalgic for the film. Now, you might be asking yourself, so what? What does all this mean? How does this affect my viewing experience? This means that you'll get to experience Dune 2 in a massive IMAX theater and become completely immersed into the story that they're telling you. And I'm not sure if you guys ever had the chance to watch anything on IMAX, but just the sheer size of the screen pulls you in, and it's like you're right there with them on Arrakis. But let's take a second and go back to the beginning. Why did the CEO of IMAX claim that this film was shot on IMAX cameras? And for that, we're gonna have to go back to last year. If you guys remember, there was a movie called Oppenheimer that was released, and there was a ton of hype around this film being shot on 70mm IMAX film. And this gave a ton of publicity, not only to IMAX theaters, but also the IMAX camera. And I think IMAX saw this as a great opportunity to try to attach their name and their brand to another huge blockbuster, even though this wasn't true at all. Now, this camera is no doubt impressive, but that's really just one small aspect that really makes this film incredible. See, in the 1970s, Star Wars came out and it shocked the world with the innovative technology and storytelling achievement that it was. And personally, I think Dune is no different. And I know that you guys are going to rip me in the comments down below, and huge Star Wars fans are going to trip out and be like, dude, what are you talking about? No, that's not true at all. But just give me a second and let me explain. Unlike a lot of TV shows that are filled with green screens and VFX, obvious storytelling and cheesy acting, Dune has really brought back the beauty of cinema by creating vast worlds and sets that allow the cast and the crew to really create a story with depth, and something that just feels a little bit more real than anything we've seen in the last few decades. Their attention to detail with the textures and world building definitely sets them apart from anything that I've seen. And the performance from the actors really draws you in and makes you believe that these characters actually exist. And if you take a second and take a look at any one aspect of this film, let's say the music, for example. You have an award-winning legendary composer at the helm with Hans Zimmer, literally creating new sounds and new instruments to be able to create the world of Arrakis. And I'm gonna be real with you guys, I don't really push to see a lot of films in the theaters, mainly because there's not a whole lot of movies that really get me that excited to run to the theater and go buy a ticket and watch it. But when I saw this film in theaters a couple of years ago with that large screen and the Dolby surround sound, it's hard not to appreciate the amazing achievement that the first Dune was. Even if you don't like the storyline, even if you don't like the movie, you can definitely appreciate the filmmaking aspect of it. I mean, if you look at it from top to bottom, It is filmmaking at its highest level in every aspect. And I have to be honest with you guys, I am going to see it in a couple of days and I am super stoked about it. I want to thank all of you guys for stopping in and hanging out, talking about this really awesome camera and this really awesome movie. I'm super excited to go see this movie in a couple of days. If you've seen it, drop some comments down below, or maybe you don't want to see it. I'd love to know why. So yeah, man, thank you guys again for stopping in and hanging out. I'll see you guys next week. Deuces.